My name is Darren, and I'm the chairman of BCS, North London branch, and of Central London branch as well. Two wonderful groups of people, and we learn and do all sorts of wonderful things, which if you're online, you can't see, of course, because you're not here. So do try and sign up for one of our in-person events as soon as you can. We have a fortunate group of people here in the room at BCS in Central London, all scribbling away in their BCS diaries. I wonder what they're writing, but we'll find out more about that later. Certainly, one topic they will be writing about is about today's presentation. Today's lecture by Callum Fraser of the Metropolitan Police, who is going to tell us more about this topic today, about the world of online. And Callum, do you feel safe online?
Yes, but I'm not doing.
That's dangerous.
Well, yes, but I know what I'm doing, says Callum. Voice from the audience says, that's dangerous. We will discuss and debate this for the next hour or so. And you can, of course, be part of it. If you're online, I guess you can send something in via chat. You can try anyway, but in any case, some notes from today's event will be available online at a later date. So having said all that, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be watching Callum's cyber behavior rather closely. Callum, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it. I know that some people who are watching this via Zoom having issues with audio. I will do my best to speak up as best as I can so you can hear as best as I can. Apologies, we are going to try and get it sorted. So, thank you for the introduction. As I said, my name is Callum Fraser. I'm a detective constable in the Metropolitan Police. I work in the cybercrime units. I've been a cop for 18 years this year. I've been a detective for the last 11 of those, and for the last 5, I've specialised in cybercrime. Stopping it, not committing it. I just need to make that very clear. So what I'm going to talk to you about today, basically cyber behaviours. So my job in the cybercrime unit is what we call the protect and prepare strand. So I don't go chasing out after the bad guys and girls out there. I leave that to the other side of the office. It's my job to try and protect people in the first place. And we do that by effectively 3 steps. Number 1 is we raise awareness. There is no point, however, just me raising awareness and saying, hey, folks, you need to do some things to be nice, safe, and secure. And then you try and go, thanks, Callum, brilliant, cheers, and then do nothing. So the most important thing, behaviours. I need to change your cyber behaviours so you are going to be safer and more secure online. And the third piece is something which is done elsewhere. We try and change the system. We try and make the systems themselves less susceptible for tampering effectively. That's what we do in the cybercrime unit. So, first and foremost, however, this is being recorded on the 14th of February 2022. I appreciate that this is going to be available for viewing later on, but if you are watching this video at a date which is significantly later than the 14th of February 2022, please be aware that cyber security and cyber advice does change. So if you are watching this later on, you might need to double check to see whether the advice has changed, because as you can imagine, it pretty much changes on a fairly regular basis. So, everything I'm going to be talking about today is effectively contained in our little leaflet of cyber advice. This is a leaflet which has been written by an incredibly attractive detective constable in Metropolitan Police. But it does contain all of our top 10 tips, and it is available to download at our website, met.police.uk/little medium. What this means is that you don't need to take notes if you don't want to, because literally every single thing that I'm going to be telling you is going to be contained in this leaflet. Okay, so I do use Slido. This is audience participation software. This is for people at home as well as the people here in the audience. So if you want to grab your mobile phone out, if it connects to the internet, have a quick look at it and go to slido.com. So this is the I can ask you questions. And you can ask me questions. Pretty sure we've got the Zoom as well. So I am keeping an eye on Zoom and I am keeping an eye on Slido. If you don't have a smartphone, then I'm afraid this one is not for you. It's obviously for the people at home. The code is slido.com and the code is MPS. It will be at the bottom of every single slide moving forward, so you shouldn't be able to miss it. As I said, this allows me to ask you questions and allows you to ask me questions. So without further ado, let me just start the opening survey. So if you are attached to Slido, let's have a quick look. Quick opening survey. So for the people who are in the room who are not on Slido, the opening survey is basically how strong do you think your password is right now? If you had to ask how strong your password is, your options are unbreakable, pretty strong, fairly strong, could probably be better, and password 123 is totally safe. So if you want to put your votes in now, just so we can see where we are. The next one is, do you use 2FA? The answers to that one are, yes, I use it on everything, on some things, I know what it is, but I don't use it, and what is 2FA? And last, but by no means least, it is what about backups? One is I regularly online and offline, I back up to the cloud, I may have a folder tucked away somewhere, and what is a backup? And those are basically the 3 polls I'm going to be asking you now. Okay, this opening poll is going to be live effectively until I turn it off. So I can have a look at some people now, so I can have a look at some of the poll answers now. Half of you think your password is fairly strong. Oh, some of you think it's unbreakable. I like your confidence. Some people said it could probably be better. Yes, nobody has said password 123 is totally safe. And 2FA, some people use it on some things. Some people don't know what 2FA is. We will certainly be getting to this and helping talk people through this. And what about backups? Some are, there we go, a lot of regular online and offline backups and some cloud, and I might have a folder tucked away somewhere. Fantastic. As I said, I will be leaving that Slido survey open for the duration. So if you come in a little bit late or you're taking your time, don't worry about it. So, what I want to talk to you about today. First of all, what's the problem? Why is cybercrime a problem? In a nutshell, why should we care? Then the next is I'm going to be talking about how do cyber criminals do what they do? What are the tactics used by cyber criminals? And last but by no means least, and most importantly of all, how can you stop it? By the end of this presentation, whether you're viewing it online, in person, or later on down the line, if you watch this, you'll have a much better understanding of the tactics used by criminals, but most importantly, you will have an understanding of how you can stop it. So, we in the Metropolitan Police like our graphs. This is a graph. All crime in England and Wales put together last year, that's from murder down to shoplifting, came to a whopping 4.7 million instances of crime. However, cybercrime, that's both cyber-dependent and cyber-enabled crime. Cyber-dependent crime is a crime which can only be committed using a computer. We're talking hacking, viruses, and that sort of stuff. Cyber-enabled crime is traditional crime, which can also be committed using a computer. In this instance, mainly fraud. This is 5.9 million instances of crime. I've been doing a presentation very similar to this for the last 5 years. This is the first time that I have to say more cybercrime than traditional crime. There is now 55% of all crime in England and Wales last year was committed using a computer rather than not using a computer. And that's at least 55%, because these are just cyber-enabled fraud and cyber-dependent crimes. These are not the other crimes that can also be committed using a computer. For example, malicious communications or a number of sexual offences. These are just purely cyber-enabled fraud and pure cybercrime. Has now overtaken traditional crime. This means that you are 20 times more likely to be defrauded at your computer than you are held up in the high streets. That's the situation that we find ourselves in now. So, that's the problem. How do they do it? We have what we refer to as our attack vectors. We've got our social engineering, vulnerabilities and malware, and data breaches. And I'm going to go through each one of those now, and we're going to talk about a little bit about what can be done to protect them. So let's have a look at social engineering first of all. What is social engineering? The dictionary definition, or the one that we use, it is the clever manipulation of the natural human tendency to trust. We as human beings trust our fellow human beings. If we didn't, society and communities wouldn't exist. And they've done tests. They've had a scientist who can't quite reach a toy that's on the floor, for example, and when there is a toddler around. And the toddler will almost without fail, regardless of race, colour, creed, ethnicity, gender, whatever you want to say, will toddle over, pick up that toy and hand to the scientist. We are programmed effectively from birth because of our genetics, because of who and what we are, that we want to help our fellow man. We have a natural human tendency to trust, and that is what criminals prey upon. And they do this using one of these four things: spoofing, phishing, smishing, and vishing. No, these are not rejected character names from a children's cartoon. These are actual technical terminologies, and we'll go through them all. But hopefully by the end of this, if you haven't heard of them before, you will know a little bit more. And the reason why we mention these is because I want people to be aware that they exist. And I want people to tell other people that they exist, because half of the problem is the mystique around cybercrime. And there is no real there's no real tips and tricks to it, it's just awareness. So what is spoofing? Masquerading is pretending to be something you are not. In the electronic world, it's changing your email address or your text message. So for example, I could send an email if I wanted to from queen@buckinghampalace.gov.uk. If I want to do that, I could do, and it will arrive in your mailboxes as if the Queen had sent it. Or I can send you a text message from whatever number I want to send it from. The ability to do this is free and simple, and anybody can download an app to be able to do this on their phones or on their computers or anything like that. And we saw it when the coronavirus lockdowns first happened. People received a text message from UK_gov to say, please be aware, you are now, please be aware that the coronavirus restrictions are now in place. People remember receiving that text message? Yep, some nods, fantastic. Within 2 hours, there was another text message from UK_gov to say, you have breached your coronavirus restrictions, go here to pay your fine. 2 hours it took them, and I'm genuinely surprised it took them that long. So that's called spoofing. It's pretending to be something you're not. Hiding your phone number or hiding your email address. Hiding your email address helps with phishing, which is fraudulent emails. Now we've all seen, we've all heard of the traditional, I'm trying to get my funds to you, you're a long lost relative, whatever other, utterly unconvincing lies that they come up with. Phishing emails are getting better. They are getting more complicated. Perfect example for this one, a very well-known bank. I clearly will not divulge which one because it was sent to me in Chatham House Rules. But they had an individual who basically does what I do. It was his job to educate the people who work for the bank to ensure that they do not fall victim to cybercrime. She said, I know what we're going to do. We're going to go on an internal phishing expedition. We're going to email every single person in the bank, and we're going to see whether they're going to fall for our phishing emails. And we're going to use that not as a telling off, not as a disciplinary action, but as a chance to actually educate and help train people. She says to second in command, go and write me some emails. Not a problem, boss, she says, I'm right on the case. She goes away. A few days later, she comes back. He goes, here you go, boss, written 6 emails for you. He goes, brilliant, thank you. I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. Not a big fan of that one, but cool, fantastic. Send them off at some time in the next week. Fast forward 4 days. He's walking to work. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. His morning Costa has not kicked in yet. Other coffee brands are available. And he's flicking through his phone and goes, oh, click here for your most recent pension forecast. Is that the right time of year for my pension forecast? He was a centimetre away from falling for his own phishing email. That's what I'm saying, that phishing is not just your standard, simple, ha 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 ha, you're going to fall for this, I've got millions of pounds to transfer it to you or whatever. It's getting better. It's getting more sophisticated. And it's phishing. Already mentioned that just now with the UK_gov. It's fraudulent text messages. They're sending text for them to be from your bank, from the Home Office, from the Tax Office, from the police. It's trying to convince you to click on a link or download something via a text message. And last but not least, we leave it in here because it's phishing, it's part and parcel of it. That's normally a precursor. This phishing is fraudulent phone calls, it's voice phishing. It's phoning up people saying, hi, I'm from the password department. Can you please tell me your password? And believe it or not, some people fall for that. And that's half the problem. In fact, so these are the things to look out for a phishing email. Now, bearing in mind, this is not in any way, shape, or form a guarantee. If this is there, it's a guaranteed phishing email. These are just examples of things that phishing emails will use to try and get a click. First one is authority. I am emailing you from a position of authority. I am your bank manager. I am the police. I am the tax office. I am somebody in authority and I'm trying to get you to do something. All I'm asking, if any of these things crop up in the emails, all I'm asking you to do is just take 5. Take 5 minutes, think about it, and try and work out whether it's genuine or not. So don't immediately click and immediately do anything. Take 5 minutes and think about it. Think about this presentation. Think about what they're asking you to do. So that's the first one is authority. Next one is urgency. Act now, or you're going to be in massive problems. If you do not pay this within the next 24 hours, a warrant will be released for your arrest. We have that. Tax office went around for absolutely ages from the tax office. You owe the tax office money. We will issue a warrant for your arrest if you do not pay it. No, that's not how it works. But straight away, action and urgency, authority and urgency. What's next? Emotion. This is what this is the way I describe this. If I'm the criminal, if I can get you feeling, not thinking, I've won. If I can get you feeling greedy, if I can get you feeling anxious, if I can get you feeling angry, if I can get you feeling scared, if I can get you feeling, I can get you to do what I want you to do. Because if you're feeling, you're not thinking, you're not using your rational head, you might fall for these sort of scams. So if anything that's going to effectively try and trigger any form of high emotion, scarcity. And now this is going to go. There are only 3 of these left. This is the last possible chance for you to do something. Very similar to urgency, but it's the same thing. Had it all the time when coronavirus started out, PPE is running low. And now, so you can get your face masks or your hand gel, or for some inexplicable reason, toilet paper. So the point being is that if it is scarce and they're preying on scarcity, might be phishing email. And last but by no means, he's kind of just mentioned it, but current events. Criminals will use anything to convince us. As soon as coronavirus started, as I said, within 2 hours, we have the first fraudulent text messages. The amount of crimes which mention corona as part and parcel of the patter of the criminals, of the scam artists, of the fraudsters, whatever phrase you want to use, it jumped. Obviously overnight when COVID started, and I think for a while about 50% of the frauds and crimes out there had COVID somewhere in their messaging. It's died down a little bit now it's no longer quite as in everybody's sin into their consciousness, but current events. So what can we do? What can we do to combat social engineering? The first one is do not click on unexpected links and attachments. I'd love to be able to say don't click on links and attachments, but that's not how the internet works. If I'm sending you an email, you're probably going to get a link in there, or there might be an attachment. I'll certainly be sending, once this presentation is finished, I'll probably be sending an attachment of our little leaflet to be forwarded out to all of you. And there might be a link as well to click on it to fill in the survey. So yes, links and attachments are a thing. If you are not expecting them, double check. Malicious links can lead to websites that ask for your details or download malware. We'll come on to what malware is in a second, but we refer to these as watering holes. Anybody that's even slightly au fait with technology can quite easily mock up a website, mock up an eBay login page, mock up an Amazon login page. And if you go to that login page, type in your eBay email address and password, you've effectively just provided that to the criminal, or Facebook, or Amazon, or any one of these things. We call them watering holes because they want people to go there to put in their information. Or of course you could go there and you can download some software onto your machine, which is malicious software, malware. Obviously, attachments contain malware as well. The biggest threat that we're getting at the moment is macro-enabled Office. So if you see docx or xlx, if it's an Office document that has macros in it, that is potentially fairly dangerous, because once the macros run on your machine, you're effectively running code on your machine. So if you are in doubt, double check through trusted sources. If you get an email from me to say, hi folks, thank you very much indeed for attending the presentation today. Here's that link I was telling you about. Okay? You're expecting that because I told you might be sending a link out. If in 2 weeks' time, you know, an email from me saying, hi, some really great information for you, click here, that's an unexpected link or attachment. So you can say, actually, was this really you? And don't reply to the email because it might be a spoofed email. So you might be thinking you're replying to Callum at met.police.uk, but in fact you're replying to sneakyfraudster@criminal.com. So through trusted methods, you know, maybe email down. It's like saying, did Callum send out something else again? Or directly type my email address into the toolbar, so it sends it out. Or make a phone call. It's especially true if it's if a business, anybody out there that runs businesses, that have people phone up saying, hi, I've changed my bank details, so next time you pay me, here's the new bank details. We call it payment fraud, or business email compromise, or CEO fraud. There's got numerous different names, but it's effectively making the phone, sending an email, spoofing an email to say, hi, bank details have changed, when you pay us next, here's the new bank details. And the money goes into the criminal's account. So check. All I'm asking is you double check your address, pick up the phone, not what's on the email, but if it's a credit card on the back, the number on the back of your card, or the actual website that you normally go to. If you trust the source, double check. So, and of course, if you're unsure, then pick up the phone and call. So, do not click on unexpected links and attachments. Tick. The next one, do not share everything on social media. So, be wary of friend and follower requests on social media. People can pretend to be anybody online, and they often do. Do not randomly just say yes to anybody that decides to become your friend on social media, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, or TikTok, or any other ones that I have actually no idea, because I'm over 40, therefore I'm no longer in touch with the current generation. Also, information can be used to pretend to be you, craft phishing emails, or see when you're not at home. Now, the information that we put online voluntarily is sometimes ridiculous. That information can be used to effectively create the perfect craft the perfect phishing email. The fact that I'm a police officer is online. You can find me on LinkedIn, for example. If you find my email address and get me on LinkedIn, you can send me an email. You can craft a phishing email. And if that phishing email is designed for a particular individual or group of individuals, it's called spear phishing, as in throwing the spear to catch the exact fish that you want. So, for example, if I received an email saying, click here for half-price donuts, police officer, donuts, half price. Seems like a good idea to me. They have successfully spear-phished me because they have found something out of bounds in social media and therefore crafted perfect phishing. That last one, see when you're not at home. People who are using stuff online and posting their photographs, having a great time in Disneyland, here in Ibiza for 2 weeks, whatever phrase you want to do, what you are effectively saying is, hey everybody, my house is empty. There have been stated cases where insurance companies do not pay out. When your house has been burgled, your insurance company say, hey, you did not do your due diligence. You posted online that you were not at home for the next 2 weeks. Therefore, it's your fault. Therefore, you are not getting money. And of course, it can be used to pretend to be you. So if I plan to take over your social media account, I can successfully bluff all of your friends and family into thinking that I am you, and therefore send me money because I've got a problem. My car's broken down on the A1, or I just joined this fantastic cryptocurrency scheme, and hey, you know it's me because I'm talking about that band that I really like, or that game that I once went to, or the name of my kids, or anything like that that you have put online for a criminal to find out. I can usually pretend to be you to get you to convince you to fall for my cryptocurrency scam, or to send me money via Cash App or Venmo or any other thing like that. Obviously, once you've locked down your social media posts, please get your friends and families and loved ones to do the same. There is no point you being circumspect and if your kids to go, woohoo, we're in Disneyland for 2 weeks, yeah! So make sure, if you are going to lock down your social media, and I would highly encourage you all to do so, only let people you want to know what you are doing, and even then, be very wary and careful about what you post online. Hopefully, I'm going to, fingers crossed this is going to work and the sound is going to come through, but I'm going to now play a video called Data to Go. This is done by one of our partners called CFAS, and it's all about how much information people can glean online just by simply liking a Facebook page. Okay, we've got no sound here. Oh, yeah.
What's the name? What's the name? Alex. Okay, Johnny.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and get a free pastry.
Back to your Facebook page, search Facebook phone number.
Okay, Carly, are you ready?
Yeah, yeah. Nicholas. Just pick up a second. Yeah, got it. Damien, age 26 for fitness instructor. Fraser goes to UCL, Martin goes to South Thames College, assistant psychologist in Great Ormond Street. Oh, okay.
No, I'm Kristen as well.
Oh yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
That's genuine. That's not fake, that's not actors or anything like that. That genuinely happened. I really, really hope that they dispose of those coffee cups correctly. But that's the sort of information that people get online. That's the sort of information that just simply liking the Facebook page allows people to find out. So please, do not share everything on social media. Tick. Next. Do not share personal information. Criminals can pretend to be anyone. And I mean anyone. Us, officials, or even your friends if they've hacked them first. About the times that we've got a horrible thing called courier fraud. It's one of the worst frauds we have out at the moment, where individuals, certainly the older generation, will get phone calls saying, "Hello, my name is Detective Inspector Simmons from Hammersmith Police Station. Your card has been involved in a credit card fraud at the shopping centre. Was this you?" "Oh, it wasn't." "Oh, right. Can you help us with the sting operation? One of my men's going to come over and collect your card. Write your PIN down, but put it in a separate envelope so we don't have to see it." Or, "We know this bank is dodgy. You need to go to the bank and get out all the money and just check and then get all the £50 notes out and then check their serial numbers. We'll be alone in a second to collect them because they're all going to be fake." People fall for it because the patter over the phone sounds legitimate, sounds real, because criminals can pretend to be anybody. And as I said, if they've hacked your friends first, then they'll pretend to be them, especially on social media. In the last month or so, we've had so many social media hacks, it's ridiculous. We were like getting, our share in the Metropolitan Police alone was well over 100 a week. Easily over 100 a week, and the vast majority of those were Instagram hacks. What happens is that people hack somebody's Instagram account, they pretend to be them, and say, "Hi, I've sent you a special friend code so we can be super friends. Give me that code." "Oh, that's the code." They go, "Thank you. I've taken over your account," and so the thing continued. So criminals pretend to be anybody. Yeah.
I think Hammersmith Police Station was shut.
It's still there. It's been renovated, but it's still there.
Renovated,
Yeah. Actually, believe it or not, yeah, my old Nick, believe it or not. That's where my first police station was. So anyway, criminals can pretend to be anybody. Never give out information or PIN codes or passwords to anyone unless you've been able to verify their identity through trusted methods. Now, the thing is, what I'll tell you about this when it comes to social engineering, and another story for you. Yet again, it was a government department. Clearly, once more, I will not divulge which one. But they wanted to see how well they could use this social engineering to get people to share personal information. So they hired a charming guy in a suit. Not me, but thank you for thinking of it. And they said, "Right, what we want you to do is we want you to go and get people's passwords. Is there a problem? I'm on the case." So we make some phone calls. "Hello, my name is Callum. I'm calling from your IT security department. Can I come and have a chat with you, please, sometime next week to talk about passwords? How's Thursday? Does Thursday work for you?" Because criminals don't make appointments. Thursday rocks up. He arrives, he's suited, he's booted, he's got the clipboard with the head and notepaper on. He's like, "Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate you're very, very busy. It really means a lot to me that you have taken the time today to speak to me." Boom, the social engineering starts. You now like this person. He's being nice, he's being pleasant. Okay, I'm here to talk to you about the password policy. Clearly, first and foremost, never give out your password to anyone. That's the most important thing. Next is password length is really important. So if your password is at least 10 characters long, you get a tick. If you've got a lowercase in there and uppercase, that's another tick. If you've got a special character and a number, that's 2 more ticks for a massive total of 5 possible points to have the perfect password. So just so I can double check, what's your password? 80% of people who he asked told him the password. Because they had been socially engineered. The guy was there, he was charming, he had the suit, he had the notepad, he had everything. Do not give out your information, whether it's passwords or PIN codes, whether it's a PIN code to get into your phone, to get into an app, to get into your bank, to use your bank card, to anyone, no matter who they pretend to be. Or even at no point will anybody who is a genuine police officer will ever ask for your PIN or password, ever. Never ask for your credit card or your bank card, ever.
They might ask your date of birth.
They can ask your date of birth, but if I
They
can
might
prove,
ask it in public.
if I can prove I'm a police officer though, can you trust me? Genuine question.
Continue later.
Yeah, it's a genuine, and by all means, you can refuse to answer if you are concerned that it's not a genuine person. I am one of these very paranoid people. I do not give my details out to anybody. Sort of knocks on my door, asking to sort of like set up something. The answer is no. You do not get my personal details, no matter who you claim to be. But I'm a fairly paranoid individual. Yeah.
What about national insurance number?
What about national insurance number? Pretty much, unless you can prove that the individual you are speaking to, you are 100% happy, the individual you are speaking to is genuine, do not give out personal information. It's as simple as that, because criminals can pretend to be anybody. So do not share it if it's personal. Tick for that last one. And last but by no means least, it's not quite social engineering, but it's the only place that I can fit it in. It's report all phishes and smishes. If you do get a fraudulent text message or you get a fraudulent email, even if you recognize it as such, even if you look at it and go, that's clearly rubbish, report it. Why? Because it helps us prove the extent of the problem. If everybody reported a dodgy phishing email, a dodgy smishing, it helps us A, understand the scope of the problem, and B, it helps us better shut things down. If you send a suspicious email and you forward it to report@phishing.gov.uk, that email is looked at. And if it's a particular IP address or website that's constantly is out, we can close it down. Same for a text message. If you get it, you can forward the text to 7726, which spells spam on your keyboard. If you do so, it helps us build a picture. It helps us see exactly how much problem there is out there, and it helps us be able to shut things down. If a particular server is particularly problematic, we can block that server. So, suspicious emails, just forward them straight away to report@phishing.gov.uk and dodgy text to 7726. All other fraud and cybercrime need to report online to action fraud, actionfraud.police.uk. Not directly to any individual police force. Why that is? Cybercrime can be committed from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world. Burglary, robbery, they're pretty much like us, burglars and robbers. They don't like to commute any more than we do. It is highly unlikely that you're going to be based in Hammersmith, you're going to be committing burglaries in Oxford, or you're going to be travelling to Cardiff to commit a robbery. It just doesn't happen. But cyber criminals can be sat in Birmingham and committing offences in Bali, or in Brixton, or any other place that begins in B. My point being is that cybercrime has a national, in fact, international reach. So Action Fraud has been created to have that picture. So if you report to Action Fraud, we can see the picture of the entire UK as opposed to just what the Metropolitan Police has. So I'll wait for people to take some photographs. I want you. Cool, no worries. So report phishing smishes, big tick. You are now protected from social engineering. Hopefully. So what's next? Next is malware and vulnerabilities, or vulnerabilities and malware, depending on how you look at it. Done with social engineering, let's have a look at the next bit. Malware and vulnerabilities. Malicious software or malware is software which has a nefarious purpose. I love that word nefarious. That was the National Cybersecurity Centre's definition of it, and when I saw it, I thought I have to use this because it's a word that is not used enough. Nefarious purpose, which means that it's something that you do not want to happen. So viruses, worms, and trojans, they're all technically different things, but for the purpose of this, we're just going to lump it all together as malware. They infect your system through vulnerabilities. For example, a perch type of adware that is quite possibly one of, if not one of, but or the most, it's certainly one of the most prevalent adwares out there. It doesn't do the worst thing, it just hijacks your browser. So anytime you want to surf the internet, it will give you a bajillion pop-up ads. You want to use this particular search engine? No. You're using my search engine. You want to go to this website? No. You're going to my website. It makes surfing the internet basically impossible. It's not the worst type of malware that's out there, but it's not great. Next, for example, Agent Tesla. This is a type of spyware. What is spyware? It gets on your computer and it looks at the keystrokes that you are making. It sees what you're typing in. It can track your mouse movements. It can see what web pages you go to. It can even turn on your webcam and spy on you through your webcam. Agent Tesla is a particularly advanced type of spyware, so it would go on there and it would basically wait to see when you type in your passwords to your bank account, it actually check to see when your computer is dormant. And it will then use your computer to log into your accounts. And it bypasses a lot of the problems out there, a lot of the security measures out there, because it's your computer. Your computer is a trusted computer, so it bypasses the two-factor authentication issues that you've got set up as well. But that's not the worst. Lockbit is the current one at the moment. It's a type of ransomware. People know what ransomware is? Yeah, quite a few nods. For those people that aren't aware of what ransomware is, it is effectively software or malware that will lock up your computer. If you want to see your data again, you will pay me money. I think they ask companies, the usual asking price is about £4 million in Bitcoin, which is usually then negotiated by the company down to a more manageable level, if indeed they want to pay it, which clearly, as a Metropolitan police officer, I cannot advise that you do. And so if you ever want to see if you ever have ransomware in your system, you've basically got one of three options. Number one, you pay the ransom. Do not advise that at all, because you're funding criminality, and the odds of them paying it back, not necessarily in your favour. Number two, technically, I'm going to give you four options. Number two is you try and crack the encryption code. If you have the highest end spec computer available to you, you might manage to crack the encryption code sometime before the sun burns out, if you're lucky. Number three, you go to a website called nomoreransom.org, which hopefully, fingers crossed, will have the ransom key for you. Or number four, the preferable one, you restore from a backup. That's it. If you don't have a backup, and there is no key on ransomware, you can kiss that daddy goodbye. It's as simple as that. So, what can you do against malware and vulnerabilities? Well, number one, update your software. 99, maybe 95% of software updates fix holes or vulnerabilities. No software is perfect. I think Windows 10 or Windows 11, has something like 10 million lines of code. Facebook, I think, has 50 million lines of code. That's 50 million possibilities of something to not quite be right. And criminals are fairly clever individuals, and they will find these holes. There are a lot of clever individuals out there, both good and bad, that are looking for these vulnerabilities or holes in your system. And once it's found, whether it's by a bad guy and has been eventually found out by a good guy, as soon as a good guy is aware of a vulnerability, obviously good girl as well, or good non-binary individual, the point being, as soon as they find it and they inform the software creator, they will release an update or a patch to fix that. Fun fact, does anybody know why they're called patches? Anybody? The first computer code was written on cardboard with holes punched in it. So of course, if you put a hole in the wrong place, you had to put a patch over it to fix it. That's why they're called patches. Fun fact for you. Yeah, exactly. So, as I said, updates and patches, they fix vulnerabilities. They will fix those holes in the wall, those issues that you've got. When an update comes out, please do it there and then, because once an update comes out, the cyber criminal will have a look at the old one and go, oh, that's the old one, that's the new one. What have they fixed? They fixed that. Why have they fixed that? Oh, 24 to 48 hours tops. Once an update is released, 24 to 48 hours tops before pretty much the entire criminal fraternity is aware of what bug or what security issue that update has fixed. So when it comes up, say, you know what? Yes, please, I'll update now. Especially true if you're working, because it's a great opportunity to say, I'm really sorry, Sarge, can't finish that. My computer's updating itself. I'll be back in 10 minutes. So, update when prompted. You can, if you want to, set up your apps and your devices to automatically update, especially including your mobile devices as well. So when an update comes out, please update it, because it will fix a vulnerability or security issue on your system. So update your software. Tip. Next, hopefully this is going to be very, very self-explanatory, but clearly use antivirus. Silly as it sounds, but make sure it's set up on all your devices. Once you've done it, run a full scan and set it to check for new files, and of course, set it to regularly update. Now, the issue with antivirus is that it only knows existing viruses, or viruses whose code is known. The way an antivirus works, Apologies for the incredibly basic metaphor. It's effectively a doorman at your club. But rather than if your name's not down, you're not coming in, it's basically if your name is down, you're not coming in. Every single piece of code that comes into your computer or your device, it looks at it. And it just compares that code to an incredibly long database of known malicious code. And it goes, I recognize you, you're not coming in, and off it goes. The problem is what we know as zero-day viruses. 0 days, basically pretty much the day it was released or very close to. It means that this particular signature on this virus is not known to antivirus machines. However, 95 or higher % of viruses infect computers after their malicious code is known. If you keep your antivirus up to date, it should stop you from 95% of viruses out there. And if you're lucky, you won't get hit by the 0-day virus before it gets known as well. So, tip, use antivirus. And last but not least, back up your data. Back up copies of data that's important to you. Whether you're a business or an organization or an individual, I cannot tell you what is important. It might be the photographs of your kids and grandkids. It might be your wedding album. It might be Star Trek fan fiction you've been writing for the last 20 years. I don't know, whatever is important to you, back it up. And not just to one place. If I have access to your computer, I've theoretically got access to your cloud account as well. If you back something up into the cloud, OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, or probably a bajillion other ones I'm not aware of, if I'm on your computer, I can theoretically get into your cloud account as well. However, I don't care how good a hacker you are not getting my data, which is stored on my external hard drive, on my shelf behind me, not plugged in. If it's at the moment it's just a box sat on my shelf that is a paperweight. Of course, when it's plugged into my computer, it contains all the important information that I want to keep safe. So okay, how good a hacker you are, you're not getting that. So please back up to 2 places, ideally, at least, one of which is kept offline, one of which is not connected to your network. And of course, set up a plan to back up regularly. There's no point saying, haha, I've been ransomware, but it's okay, I should restore from my data from 6 years ago. That means you've just lost 6 years worth of data. And of course, check your backups. Make sure that once you've done them, that they are in fact genuine, they are working, and they're not corrupt in any way, shape, or form. So, if you check your updates, use antivirus, and back up your data for when from the worst eventuality happens, you should be protected from vulnerabilities and malware. So what's left? Data breaches. So what's a data breach? These occur when information has been stolen or taken from a system without the knowledge or consent or authorization from the owner, which effectively means through no fault of your own, your login credentials could be released into the public domain. Does anybody recognize any of these at all? Any of these recognize yet? Sorry? Most of them, yeah? All fairly famous. Every single one of these has had a breach. Every single one of these has had a data breach. They have had their database leaked onto the dark web. We'll go a little bit more about how you can check to see what your details have been on in a minute. But what is your gateway to your online life? What is the key to all of your, I'm sorry, I've spelled that wrong, passwords. That's better, passwords. Passwords are effectively your key to every single one of your accounts online. And the average person now has over 80 accounts online. So let's talk about passwords. I'm now going to try and hack your password. First and foremost, I'm going to try a dictionary attack, which means I'm going to try every single word in the English dictionary. I'm going to pick Dave at the back as my example. So Dave, I'm going to try and get every single word in the English dictionary. How long, folks, is it going to take my hacking computer to go through the entire dictionary to see whether his password is one of those? Anybody? 10 seconds. 10 seconds, a little bit less? 5 seconds, a bit less? 0.83.
Instant.
Yeah, well, pretty much instant. 0.83 seconds is how long it's going to take my hacking computer to check every single word in the English dictionary. Dave's a smart cookie. Dave has not used a word from the English dictionary, but we put it up there. We can replace the A's with Ats, or the S's with 5s, or the O's with 0s, We've all heard of this really, really complex way of making our passwords more secure, haven't we? Yeah? Guess what? So have cyber criminals. So, I'm now going to try and get Dave's password again. I'm going to the dictionary, I can try every single password in the English dictionary, rather than every single possible permutation. Is it an A with an at? Is an A with a 4? Is an S with a 5? And all this sort of stuff. Now how long to try and get, now this whole gamut of words, how long for this one? 5 seconds, a little bit more, 9.72 right time at last. Sort of great, really, in the grand scheme of things. A password that lasts a hacker, that lasts 9.72 seconds against a hacker. Let's do better. Dave, however, is a smart cookie. And I'm going to use what's known as a rainbow table. Apologies, it's going to get slightly technical. I will try and make it as easy to understand as I can. Passwords are not stored in what we refer to as clear text. If I hack into somebody's database, I will not see the email address of Callum at callumisawesome.com and the password of Callum is handsome. I won't see that. I'll see Callum at callumisawesome.com, but I will see a long string of letters and numbers. It's called a hash. So a hash is effectively where you take any file, whether it's a password or whether it's a video or a JPEG, a picture or a Word document, doesn't matter what it is, it runs it through a particular type of algorithm or calculation, and it will create this hash afterwards, which is usually about 256 letters using the hexadecimal key. Don't need to know that. All you need to know is that this is a long string. So my password's password 1 used to see this long string of letters and numbers. Okay, everybody with me so far? Cool. 3 things you need to know about a hash. Number 1, it is irreversible. You cannot take this hash and go backwards to work out what the original one was. Best way I can describe it is if you take a number, you don't know what 2 numbers you multiply together to get to that. So if I've got the number 100, I don't know whether it's 100 times 1, or 25 times 4, or 50 times 2. I don't know. I've just got the final result. So it's not backward compatible. I can't take this hash and work it out. Number 2, the slightest change in the original file will cause a massive change here. So password 1, as opposed to password 2, it is a completely different hash. The whole thing has changed. And 3, the most important part of this process is that no matter how many times you do it, it gets you the same result. So if I hash password 1 now, I will have this string of letters. If I hash password 2 in 2 hours' time, same. Password in 2 days' time, same. 2 weeks, same. 2 months, same. You get the general idea. No matter how many times you hash it, you will always get the identical string of letters and numbers. Everybody with me so far? This is the issue that we have. Because the top 20,000 and growing passwords have had their hashes calculated by criminals. So whereas you and I would see a nonsensical string of letters and numbers, criminal look at it and go, yeah, that's the hash for password 1. Or that's the hash for password, that's the hash for football 1966. That's the hash for QWERTY. Do you know the most common password out there is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the most popular password. So the second most popular password is?
Password.
No, that's the third. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 is the second most popular password. But password is the third. I said the top 20,000 passwords have been hashed. We know what they are. And apparently, according to the NCSC, 80% of people use one of the top 20,000 passwords. And as you can imagine, it's not going to take me too long to compare that hash with the ones that I've stolen from the data breach. However, Dave is a smart cookie. He has not used one of the top 20,000 passwords. So the rainbow table is not going to do me any good. What have I got now? I've got a targeted attack. So I'm now going to try and so I'm going to look up everything I can about Dave. I'm going to search him on social media and find his Facebook, his Instagram, his Twitter, his TikTok, his I don't know other things that children and cool people do nowadays. I'm not a cool person, I don't know. But I'm going to find out everything I can about Dave. He is a massive ABBA fan, for example. He is a massive fan of Manchester United, and his favourite football team in the world is the LA Rams from the American football thing. So I'm going to get my database of Dave. Everything about him, I will throw in massive Star Trek fan. Cool, I will download the entire Star Trek Wikipedia. And I will try everything. Is it his kid's name followed by Captain Kirk? Is it his favourite ABBA song followed by his favourite footballer from Manchester United? I don't care. I've just got my Dave database and I'm letting it go. And it'll just churn through every single possible permutation until I'm in. Fortunately, we have used not specific words to us. All that is left for me at this stage is try a brute force attack. Brute force goes like this. Is your password A? Is your password B? We might be some time. Is your password C? You get the general idea. There are 94 possible permutations for a single character password. That's what the uppercase, lowercase, special characters and numbers. 94 possible permutations. For a 2-character password, it's 94 times 94. For a 3-character, 94 times 94. You get the general idea. So therefore, the longer the password, the more possible permutations. Here we go. Grinning 1, 2, 3. And I've got Zoom up for those people who are watching at home. I've got Zoom up. If you want to type on your answers now, I will be able to see them into the various chat thing. How long to brute force grinning 1, 2, 3? Anybody? Any thoughts? Any suggestions?
Quite a long time.
Quite a long time. How long do you think?
5 seconds.
5 seconds. That's a long time, is it?
Yeah. On this one.
On this one. 3.6 seconds. So brute force grinning 1, 2, 3. How about this one? Grinning 1, 2, 3. Look, I've got uppercase. I've got lowercase. I've got special characters. I've got numbers. I've got everything. This, folks, is an amazing password. How long is it going to last me?
2 seconds.
Sorry? 2 seconds. It's not exactly the same because it is a little bit more complex, but it's only lasting 11.5 minutes. Brute force platforms. Yeah. Okay, because I've got more possible permutations. The first one said lowercase and uppercase. This has got more possible permutations. So it lasts a little bit longer. Same length, a little bit longer. How about this one? Grinning otter. Look at that. It's all lowercase. There's no numbers. There's no special characters. Not even a capital letter. Quick question. Show of hands. Who thinks I can crack this quicker? Yeah? Most of you? Who thinks it's going to be longer for me to crack?
It'll take longer because it's longer.
Exactly. An hour. This one will last you an hour. Okay. I'm now going to play you a video. This has been done in-house. This has been done by the Metropolitan Police. This is part of our Little Media series. I mentioned Little Media earlier. I obviously put it in the Zoom chat as well. All of these videos are available to watch online. And this is how to create the perfect password.
Most of our accounts online are accessed by passwords, so make sure your passwords are strong. Criminals can easily get simple passwords or ones with words personal to you. The best way to create a secure password is to join 3 random words together. The more obscure and memorable, the better. You can make it even stronger by adding numbers and symbols. Feel free to save passwords in your browser or use a password manager. Make sure all your passwords are strong. Plus, it's important to have a separate, unique password for your email address, as you may use that to reset the others. And remember, never share your passwords with anyone, no matter who they claim to be. It's the simple way to stay safe.
Okay, that's ours. Grinning skydiving otter. That's what we came up with for the purpose of this. Many really wanted to animate a skydiving otter that was smiling. I'm really hoping that if we have a bit more budget next year, I can get some cuddly toys of grinning skydiving otters. But that's probably a bit of a pipe dream. So, grinning skydiving otter. Just how long? Just grinning skydiving otter. How long? Anybody?
2 hours.
2 hours? Bit more.
3 hours.
Bit more.
3,000 years.
Sorry?
3,000 years.
Not quite. I like your thought process. You are right in thinking years.
Well, not before the sun goes.
No, that one you've only got 24 years worth.
Gosh.
Grinning skydiving otters will only get you 24 years. How about this one? How about the grinning skydiving otters for £33?
3,000 years.
3,000 years? Think more. Anybody? I'll give you a clue. If you haven't got alien in your thought process, you're thinking too small. This one will last you 20 million years. Obviously, that's using current computer technology. You want to check out your own, by the way, go to passwordmonster.com and you can type in your password there to see how long that will take to hack. Don't worry about the security of it. It is a reliable website. We use it all the time, and of course, they don't know who you are. So you can put your password in there, but they've got no idea to attribute it to whomever it would be. If you're that worried, put in a password that's similar to yours, not exactly the same as. So passwordmonster.com. 20 million years for grinning skydiving otters for £33. You're going to make it even better and misspell one of the words. But skydiving, but instead of the V, put a W or something like that. There's misspelled words that therefore out of the dictionary. For example, if we put grinning skydiving with 2 V's, otters, that would jump up to, I think, 14 septillion years, which is enough time for the universe to die twice, I think. Yeah, so quick question and rhetorical question. Look at the password lists on the screen. Which one is probably closer to your current password? Rhetorical question. Which one?
Number 2.
Yeah. Which one looks easier to remember? Is it this one? Is it the grinning skydiving got for £33? Or is it the grinning 1, 2, 3 with all the uppercase and lowercase all over the place? Which one's easiest to type in right first time?
That's important.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I can type grinning skydiving for £33 right first time every time. I can't type grinning 1, 2, 3 with that thing right first time every time. So, passwords, 3 random words. That's all you need. Just the grinning skydiving otter alone will be 24 years worth. To make it super secure, add a couple of numbers, add a couple of special characters, everyone wins. So that's passwords.
Can I ask
Yes.
about the finger thing on your iPad?
Come on, that in a minute. So yes, no worries, no, excellent question. Thank you. You're just getting slightly ahead of me, but please, yeah.
That's kind of contradictory to the security advice
What do you mean, sorry?
about the password format.
Mm-hmm.
You know, IT can say do the special characters, etc.
Don't need to. I mean, don't get me wrong, yes, if you include special characters and numbers, it makes it extra secure, but it's length that matters. If you've got an 8-character password with uppercase, as you saw, that grinning 1, 2, 3, uppercase, lowercase, special characters, that was, as far as the computer's concerned, very complex.
No, I know. A lot of IT systems also.
Sorry, Callum, please repeat.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, thank you. So the question was that it's contrary to some IT systems recommendations.
So, you know, like Windows or whatever.
Yeah.
You can set up to enforce having special characters, dots, etc. That would be contradicted, that wouldn't it?
There are some systems which, I mean, I know there are some websites out there which almost right whether certain systems contradict the advice I've just given. I know there are websites out there that don't allow you to have more than 8 characters in a password.
Yeah.
Guess what? If I'm on a website that says, yeah, we'll only allow you 8 characters, I'm not using that system. Because I can brute force 8 characters on my home PC in under 10 seconds. I'm not particularly happy if a website enforces an 8-character only password. They clearly don't take my security seriously. I will not be using their service. It's as simple. I know what you're saying. Some security systems out there are like, that's not allowed, but don't have that. That's why we try and change the system. Yeah.
Unfortunately, our council has that system. Are you suggesting I move?
I am suggesting that you have the question was the council uses the bad password system. I'm suggesting you let them know about it.
Yes.
And get them to come to one of my talks, or get them to put up the Met Police, and we will quite happily talk through why their security needs to be a lot better, because councils get hacked a lot, as you can imagine.
If you're going to do a brute force attack on a password,
yeah,
you still have to test whether each attempt is correct or not.
Right.
And that requires you to test it on the system you're trying to.
No, it does not. This is the problem. So the question was that if you are testing, if you're doing a brute force password, you're going to test it on the actual system. Not necessarily the case. A lot of systems, of course, will lock out after a certain number of false attempts. By this point, I've got the hash. I've already managed to get the breach of the database of your username and password, and I've got the hash, and all I'm going to do is brute force the hash. Yes, I'm not on a Hotmail login screen trying to type in the password in the login screen. A computer's doing the work based on the data that's already been stolen. So I'm not physically on your eBay trying to log into your eBay.
You've already got the hash.
I've already got the hash.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
You've already breached the password.
I've breached the database. I haven't got your account. There's a distinct difference. Okay. So.
Can I just stop?
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned superscript at all.
I've mentioned what, sorry?
Superscript.
In what respect?
Well, can you use it in?
If they allow it, by all means. Sorry, superscript is effectively another type of writing, effectively, for want of a better phrase. If the system allows you to use it, use it. I mean, my passwords, the password that we have there with the £33, the brilliant skydiving otters, the reason why we put the pound sign in there is because a lot of keyboards don't have the pound sign. If you're not in the UK, you're like in Russia or North Korea or America or something like that, you won't necessarily have a pound sign on your keyboard. But there are some services out there that do not allow the pound sign. It's one of your passwords. It does not recognize it. Says no, you can't use this. So there are going to be some that even with the super awesome stuff that we have, will not work. But yeah, if they allow you to, fine, awesome. When it comes to passwords, have a strong password. Please don't reuse them. I know this is a lot harder to say than otherwise, because the average person's got 80 accounts online. The problem is what we refer to as credential stuffing. Once a breach occurs, once I have the password of Callum at callumisawesome.com and Callum is super handsome, once I've got that password, I will try that everywhere. Is it my Amazon password? Is it my Facebook? Is it my eBay? Is it my banking password? And if I've reused that username and password, then I'll be able to get into anywhere else once it's been breached once. Fully appreciate that it is very much a case of you've got 80 passwords, you can't possibly come up with a brilliant skydiving lotus for every single one of those. So here's my top tip for that one. I create the perfect password and I don't use it. So for example, I've got my brilliant skydiving lotus. That's my perfect part. It's not clearly that. But I'm not going to tell you my actual part. For the sake of this, let's say my actual key is brilliant skydiving lotus. My Facebook password is FB brilliant skydiving lotus. My Amazon password is AM brilliant skydiving lotus. eBay, EB, LinkedIn, LA, you get the general idea. So I've got the same core key, my brilliant skydiving lotus. I put a different prefix at the beginning, maybe a suffix at the end, or maybe both. And if I want to write down Facebook equals FB, eBay equals EB, Twitter equals CW, I can write that on a post note and stick it on my computer for all I care. Because nobody knows the brilliant skydiving lotus part. I have created a perfect password and I do not reuse it. However, if that is too much, the one thing, if there is literally one thing I want you to take away from this presentation, is have a strong and separate password for your email. Because if I can get into your email, I've got into everything. That's half the problem. Okay, so if I've got access to your email account, I can reset the password for anything else. So at the very least, use some sort of password for emails. You can use a password manager if you want. That's perfectly fine. As long as the password to get into your password manager is not password 123. If it is, I will find you and I will make you watch this presentation again. Yeah.
I worry about these, playing devil's advocate. Can you be sure what password managers are actually safe and which are it would be a good phishing attempt?
It would be a fantastic phishing. So the question is, are password managers safe? I cannot tell you which ones are safe and which ones are not. In the Metropolitan Police, you know, I cannot recommend one thing over another. If you ask me personally, I use LastPass, but that's me personally. Do a little bit of research to work out what you think is safe, what you think is valuable or not. Just don't download the first thing that comes to your head. Do a little bit of research. And this is answering one of the questions that was asked on Zoom. You can save your passwords in your browser if you want to. Modern browsers like Edge, like Chrome, and like Firefox, they are all nice and secure. Especially if they, you know, I think this is Martin Williams is asking this online. Yeah, in a nutshell, you can store passwords in your browser should you so desire. The caveat to that is, if you save passwords in your browser on a device, make sure that device is locked if you are not using it. With a mobile phone, with a tablet, with a laptop, with a desktop computer at home, if you are not using it and your passwords are stored in your browser, it is locked. This is especially true of people that necessarily not lock their desktop computers. But if I break into your house at 3 o'clock in the morning, what am I going to get away with? I might walk away with maybe a tablet, maybe a laptop, maybe some jewelry, probably not a TV. They're too big to steal nowadays. I'm not going to be walking away with a huge amount in the grand scheme of things. If I've got unfettered access to your desktop computer and you haven't locked it, how much damage can I do now? Everything's automatically signing in. I can access your Facebook, I can access all of your social media, your email, hell, I can even get into your banking if I need to. You've saved your passwords in your computer. I'm not saying don't. I save passwords in my browser. I find it very convenient that way. But if I'm not on it, my device is locked. And of course, that's a part to protect your mobile devices. Yes, biometrics, fingerprints, they're perfectly fine. Facial recognition, perfectly fine. These are all secure methods of locking your devices. Please use them.
Sorry, the trouble is with
facial recognition and fingerprint.
Yep.
If you don't put it in, it still comes up with an option manually to put a password in.
That's fine, as long as the password to get into your phone is not password 123. I've got a pin to get into my phone if I need to. I can always use my fingerprints. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if your fingerprint fails,
Yes.
it does sometimes.
Yeah, always.
Then the key number pad comes up.
Yeah, that's it. As long as it's as long as it's password protected.
Mm.
So the question was that the fingerprints fail. Sometimes you've got to use a pin or a password. That's fine. But as long as there is a way, it's not like, well, the fingerprints failed, I'll let you in anyway. So I said biometrics are fine, whether it's a fingerprint or facial recognition or anything like that, that's fine to get into your phone as long as if you are not using it, it is locked and secure. Okay, so that was passwords. Let me just minimize the chat. There we go. What's next? Check previous breaches. Now, as I said, your data, through no fault of your own, might be linked to the dark web. Website called haveibeenpwned.com. I did not create it. It is pwned is a gamer terminology. I don't think the guy created it, he would realize exactly how big it got. It is run by a Microsoft security professional, a guy called Troy Hunt, and he is a lovely, lovely man. He's an Australian, and he does this for free. He effectively will trawl the dark web. Well, not him personally, but his program now trawls the dark web where these breaches are pasted. So you can go to haveibeenpwned.com and type in your email address. Works for phone numbers as well. You type it in and say, have I been pwned? Yes, yes you have. You have been, your data, this one, the one that we did here, pwned on 4 breach sites and 1 paste. Don't worry if your data has been leaked into the dark web. Mine has been breached 9 times. My sergeant is on there 12 times. Yet again, data breaches are not your fault. Data breaches are when an organization or a database with your details on have been hacked. If you have been a victim of a breach, all you need to do is no longer use the same username and password combination that you used at the time. So, for example, one of the ones that I don't know if people have heard of, MyFitnessPal, is an app that helps you keep track of what you're eating. There's another one called Roll20, which is an online gaming site if you want to play tabletop games online. Both of those I was in. Both of those were breached. Each time I got an email because I signed up for a future alarm. So when it happened, I got an email saying, hello, Callum, your email address and password combination has been leaked into the dark web again. I'm like, okay, but I don't use my passwords. So I just went to Roll20, for example, and went, right, okay, let me just change my password so it's a new password. Do not use the same username and password combination as one was breached and you're fine. Okay? Tick, check for previous features. I'll ask, but by no means least, and this is a big one, turn on 2-step verification. Do people know what 2-step verification is? Yeah, seeing some nods, seeing some blank faces. Okay. 2-step verification is if I gave you my bank card right now and said, go on, help yourself, go to the nearest cash machine, get as much money as you can out, ignoring the fact there's no money in my account. Could you do it? Just my bank card? No, because you need my PIN code. Well, I said, here's my PIN code, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not, it's 3, 4, 5, 6. But here's my PIN code, help yourself as much money as possible. You still can do it because you need to have my bank card. 2 factors are in place, something you have, which is my bank card, and something you know, which is my PIN number. Decent security services have 2 of these factors. When the 3 factors are something you have, bank card, something you know, PIN code, or something you are, biometrics, facial recognition, for example. If there are 2 of these, it's a nice and secure system. So, for example, what if I said, here is my Amazon email address, and here's my Amazon password. Could you get access to my Amazon account and buy whatever you wanted to online? Normally?
Yes.
Yes, you could. In reality, no, you couldn't. Because I have turned on 2-step verification. So even if I said, here's my password, callum@awesome.com, and my password is Callum's really handsome. Here's that combination for you, go away, crack on. You'll type it in, and they'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, hi, Callum, you're logging in from somewhere new. What's your 6-digit code? My phone generates a 6-digit code every 30 seconds. Unless you physically have my phone, you are not getting into my account. So even if my email address and password has been leaked, you cannot gain access to my account without physically having my phone. And my phone, with the obvious exception right now, is pretty much always in my pocket or on my person. Here is Little Guide to 2-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication, also called 2FA, two-step or multi-factor authentication, is a free security feature that gives you an extra layer of protection online. Usernames and passwords are sometimes stolen by criminals so that they can access your accounts. However, accounts that have two-factor authentication set up also require you to input an extra layer of security. This will be something only you can access, like a code generated by an app on your device. So even if a criminal knows your password, they won't be able to access your accounts. Most online services and apps offer 2FA. You just need to activate it. Use it wherever it's available, starting with the accounts you care most about, such as email and social media. It's a simple way to stay safe.
So there we go. That is little guides to two-factor authentication. It helps stop criminals getting into your account, even if they have your password. It improves security immensely. It is free and it is easy to set up. Pretty much every single thing I've mentioned today, whether it is Facebook, Twitter, eBay, all the emails that I'm aware of, most banking, LinkedIn, PayPal, all of these places have got two-factor authentication as an ability to turn on. It is free. If you want to know more, so don't have to write this down if you don't want to. This will be out on the it is on the leaflet that I'm going to send out. But go to ntsc.gov.uk/cyberaware/home. Now, effectively talk you through how to set up two-step verification on the most popular sites out there. So, strong password, check your breaches, two-factor authentication. Tick. There's us protected from data breaches. As I said, everything that I've been talking about is in our little leaflet of cyber advice. Just one of our little media series. We have a little bit of big scams, a little bit of cyber scams, a little bit of cyber advice, investment scams, phone scams, the latest one, the COVID scams one. They're all available at met.police.uk/little media. We also have our videos. You've seen some of them. You saw the password and the two-factor authentication one. Now got 16 videos online, going from online identity, what money mules are, impersonation fraud, various types of fraud on there. For example, the computer software service fraud down there in the bottom right-hand corner. All of these are available for anybody to be able to watch at any time at met.police.uk/little media. So let me load up Slido and let me have a look at the closing survey. Same pretty much deal. First question is, after today, now how strong do you think your password is? Do you still think that your password is unbreakable? Do you think that it's still pretty strong? Is it okay, I guess? Do you think you'll be changing yours ASAP, or are you going to be sticking with password 123 and I will hunt you down and make you watch this presentation? What about two-factor authentication or two-step verification moving forward? Are you using it on everything because it's awesome? Only a few things are important. I know what it is, but I'm not going to turn it on. You still have no idea what two-factor authentication is, or you already followed my advice. And finally, what about backups? You're going to be backing up everywhere, or in everything, backing up the cloud, still don't see any reason to back up, or you already follow the Metropolitan Police advice. So whilst that Slido closing survey is on, in summary, what we've talked about today, you are 20 times more likely to be defrauded online than you are held up in the high streets. 55% of all crime is committed using a computer. We're going to talk about the three attack vectors: the social engineering, the malware and vulnerabilities, and the data breaches. And finally, what you can do. Question is genuine. Talked about passwords and two-factor authentication. Talked about updates. Talked about backup. Talked about antivirus. And last, by no means least, we talked about the resources that we have in the Metropolitan Police, which are completely and totally and always will be free of charge. So, quick request for both people at home and the people here in the audience. What we do is we go out there and we try and talk to people and we try and stop them from being victims of cybercrime. What I'd like to be able to do, I'd like to be able to turn around to my boss and say, hey, I've arrested 17 people for cybercrime this week. I can't do that. That's not my job. What I want to do is to say, I've spoken to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've spoken to 15 people, and with a further 61 people who are currently online. And out of those 75 odd people are all going to be safer and more secure. The only way I can do that, if you just spend just a couple of minutes, either scan this QR code or type in that thing, obviously the people here can't see because there's the Zoom thing in the corner, I'm afraid. Hopefully, Dave can quickly minimise that since the full thing. Just spend 2 minutes online to fill this in. Basically, what I need to know is that are you changing your behaviours as a result of this? If you are, fantastic, I've done my job. I am happy that I've helped protect London. If you like this, please let us know. Say, yeah, it was great, it was fantastic, Callum was amazing, you know, I love really well, please let me know as well. If you didn't like it, please keep that to yourselves. I have a very, very fragile ego. And of course, in reality, if there's something more you'd like to see or more information you'd like, please let us know as well. The only way that we know that we're doing good is if you take some time and fill in this survey. So, whilst that's on, does anybody have any questions? Well, I think I've got some from the Zoom chat. Oh, thank you, Dave, for posting it in there. Let me in 3. If that gets hacked and isn't targeted and usable, mine are handwritten in a cryptic fashion. So let me in 3 writes theirs in a cryptic fashion is a reminder that only they can understand. Awesome. As long as it is a way, as long as you have a book of passwords I've seen for sale, write your passwords here. As long as you don't do that, I'm happy. Elizabeth W, I use a password protected document to store passwords. Is that safe? As long as the password into your documents is safe, as long as it's not password 123, then yes, that is safe. It's the same as a password manager, but you've done it yourself as opposed to the password manager. Teresa Goulder, I know someone who has had to remove 2-step verification. As he gets in the message of his mobile phone, he has a limited time to receive the code and type it in. He can't react quickly enough anymore. That's a shame. Normally you've got 30 seconds to get from your, certainly the app that I use, you've got 30 seconds from when it generates the code to when it generates a new code. You've got a little bit of wiggle room again afterwards. So fingers crossed, you should be able to get from your code generator app to your computer to type in the 2-step verification code. If that's not the case, not really much I can do about that, but it is highly recommended that you use 2-step verification. So let me just double check Slido, see if anybody's asked any questions on Slido. No? Anybody any questions in here at all? Yeah.
Sorry, how can you get those leaflets about little media?
It's met.police.uk/little media is the password. There we go.
Right, sorry. I can photograph it.
Yeah, by all means. So that's if you want to get hold of my team, we're at cyberprotect@met.police.uk. If you are a business or an organisation, you want to have one of our presentations or an escape room or a Lego exercise, then you can go to our Cyber Protect website. But if you want to have a look at our videos and stuff, you go to the Little Media website and of course the NCSC website. Yep.
Can we reuse some of your graphics and text for training?
No problem at all. Anything
about the survey should be visible.
Sorry? Oh, the survey. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Let me go back. There we go. Yes, by all means, if you want to use any of our videos or any of our leaflets or anything like any presentation or anything moving forward, they are free, they are resources, please do so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else in the room have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Company tells you they're issuing an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know the company is telling you?
Odds are fairly high. You'll the app that you're using will have we have updates for your app. So if you get an email from the company saying install this new update, most of the time if it's an Apple piece of software, when you load the Apple piece of software, they pretty much all now check to see the update and go, I need updating, click here to update the latest one. If you get an email from someone saying, hello, I am definitely this person, click here to download, unexpected link or attachment, double check.
Okay. I have another question.
Shoot.
You're using a password manager and you decide to switch from that antivirus protector to another one. What do you do with the password protector? Can you download it?
Password manager and antivirus are two separate things.
Yes, sir.
So obviously you've got your password protector, your password manager. As I said, there are plenty of them out there. A little bit of research to make sure the one you're using is a genuine one, it's not a dodgy one. But it shouldn't take you too long to find a correct password manager. Password managers and antivirus are two separate things. They might be part of the same. They might be part of the same security suite.
For example, with Norton.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So Norton does do both. The next I'll come to yours in a second. Norton obviously does do both. As you know, you can obviously load the password manager, and depends on the password manager, you can export all of your passwords to an Excel document or something like that. Obviously, be very careful what you do with that Excel document, but there are ways in which you can get the passwords out to put them back in. And the next earlier asked, over a weekend I received 200 emails classed by I'm assuming classed by spam as Google. Some of them thrice repeated. Should I re-report all of them? Google are fairly good actually. If Google flag it as spam or Google flag it as something which is a phishing email, they do actually report them on anyway. Clearly, if your email account has already flagged it, you don't necessarily have to go into your spam folder to forward all of those. That is pretty much done on an automated capacity anyway. So if it comes to your main mailbox as a spam thing, forward it on. I can't take you to do every single one of them. If you receive over 200 in a weekend, that sucks. I'm not saying please forward every single one of them. In an ideal world, yeah, you would, because it shows the scope of the problem that we've got. But clearly, you do whatever you feel comfortable doing. This should not be a full-time job for anybody, this forwarding on spam emails. Any other questions? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, cryptography, the key gives access to the information.
Yes.
And we're here talking about the password giving access to
yes.
service effectively. And of course, password managers are where you can keep your passwords. Personally, I have about 200 accounts.
Yep.
and I use an encrypted access database on my own machine. I would not trust a password manager, frankly, because it could be hacked. You know, in any case, you need a password for your password manager.
Yes.
For people sort of here, this is advertised as their security for seniors. I think there's something that we ought to remember.
Excuse me, do you want to stand there? Because then people online will be able to hear you.
I think there's something we ought to remember, you know, as some older persons in the room. When you die, it's rather important that your successors have access to your passwords. And so some let-out method of giving access to all your passwords to your executors is something you should build into your plan.
Yes, certainly. For those people that didn't catch it on, obviously if everything's completely locked up and secure, and you're the only person that can get access to it, if you pass on, then everything's locked and secure, nobody can get access to it. When you pass on, or if you pass on sooner than you anticipated. So, in a nutshell, yes, there are that you should put away. A lot of people mention in their wills. A lot of people have it written down in sealed letters that only their loved ones can open, etc., so on and so forth. So, yes, a very good shout. Make sure that people can get access to your accounts once you've passed on. Yeah.
Can I also say that in the case of a traumatic injury or sadly dementia, you've lost access to everything.
Same, yeah, exactly. Spot
and when do you start writing that down? Because you know, any of us could be run over by a bus as we leave here.
That's a very pleasant thought. But the question is, that when do you put these kind of things? But in a nutshell, I have it. I mean, so in my will, basically which obviously the executors, once it's opened in a sealed document, effectively, has got the please be aware. Here is my password to get access to this, and then my children will get again access to all of my accounts and do with what they want.
It's something that's facing the next generation.
Yeah.
Not perhaps the elderly who are cyber aware and cyber phobic. They don't want to leave anything there. It's all written down.
Well, that's fair. As long as you're written down in a password book. Because the bottom line is that I keep coming back to, if I break into your house and you've got your laptop there and a book of passwords next to your laptop, it means that I've literally got access to everything. And that's half the problem. If that password book is locked in a safe, fine. But it's all about protecting the key. Protecting the keys to the kingdom. Whether that's in a password protected locked document, whether it's an encrypted database you keep on your own computer, whether it's like Let Me In said, whether it's a very cryptic way of writing their own passwords down on a piece of paper, fine. But as long as the keys to the kingdom are not open and available for all, that's all I'm after. Nick says, it's just me who despairs with banks wanting to end the use of PINs with debit cards and just use contactless, two-factor authentication after one-factor authentication. A reduction in security, in my view. Yeah, in a nutshell, you are right. It is reducing the security, but there's a security triangle, basically ease of use and security, are the 2 points of it, and people would prefer to have higher ease of use and low security. Banks are prepared to run the risk of that. Banks are prepared to say we'd rather have it's easier to use and lower security, and they're prepared to take the risk of that. So if you can say, well, that wasn't me, that £100 that came out, that wasn't me, the banks will refund you because the banks are prepared to swallow that risk to make their products easier to use. Less security, better, less security, better ease of use, but the risk theoretically is not ours. Yeah.
Some banks allow you to set the threshold limit.
I don't know
So
that.
you can reduce it from 100.
Okay, so for those people watching at home, apparently some banks you can select what the threshold limit is for your card. As I said, it's all easy of use versus security, but the banks have taken that risk. If somebody steals your card and uses it for contactless, the banks will swallow that risk. It's not you. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can shut down any server in the UK.
So when did my choice, sorry?
You mentioned that you can shut down any server in the UK.
We can certainly try.
Yeah, sure. But have you got like a solid state through sponsored hacking?
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Exactly. But there's nothing you can do, really.
We can stop that connection. We can stop that. So the question is that if we shut down servers, if the servers aren't based in the UK, what power do we have? Bottom line is we can't shut down a server if it's in certain countries. I'll let you work out which countries I'm referring to. We can, however, block that from entering into the UK IP.
Okay.
So we can stop a server. We can't close a server down. We can say that server's a wrong one. That server does not. The data coming from that server does not reach the UK infrastructure.
So you can block it.
We can block it. We can block it.
The ISP.
Effectively, the ISP level. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Can I ask about action fraud?
Mhm.
How effective are they as one of the tools in your toolbox?
How effective are action fraud? Are they as perfect as we would like them to be? No. But as you can imagine, they have got an incredibly 1.7 million. Well, you saw was 5.9 million instances of fraud last year, and that's reported fraud. Are action fraud brilliant? No, they're not. As much as it pains me to say it, they're not perfect. Are they the best solution we've got at the moment? Yes. Are they getting better? Yes. Can I advise you to do anything else? No, because they are the one-stop shop for the cybercrime in the UK. Yes, clearly we'd like them to be massively better funded and all this sort of stuff. But the same with all, they are, for all intents and purposes, part of the police force infrastructure, and police have been squeezed over the last few years in terms of funding, etc. And action fraud is part and parcel of that. Would I like them to be better? Yes. Can I recommend you go anywhere else instead of action fraud? No, they are literally. It's the best we've got, I'm afraid. Yeah.
I nearly got scammed by TalkTalk several years ago because their database got broken into and lots of accounts got stolen. And one day I got a phone call from TalkTalk. Okay, yeah. There's a security on one of these. You've got a security issue with your computer. We just need to make some adjustments. I said, okay, well, and I thought, all right. I said, well, if you are from TalkTalk, can you tell me my account number? And they quoted, I got my bill.
Yes.
And they quoted me my account number.
Because the data have been breached, yeah.
They were totally hacked in India when they had their call centres there.
Yeah, they did.
Yes. The problem was that TalkTalk was hacked and effectively, Alan, is it?
Alan, yeah.
Alan had a phishing call. Somebody pretended to be from TalkTalk to try and convince them. Sorry, Joseph asking here, does using a deceased person's account constitute as a computer misuse under the Computer Misuse Act, even if written will? No, it does not, because you have permission. Computer Misuse Act is all about permission. If right now I said, here is my Facebook account, you have my permission to enter my Facebook account and have a look at my Facebook stuff. You have permission. It's not against the Computer Misuse Act. If I write in my will, I hereby give my children permission to access all of my online accounts. They have permission. It's not against the Computer Misuse Act. Like so many crimes out there, there is the element of if permission has been granted, it's perfectly fine.
What about powers of attorney? Would that cover it?
Same deal. It's the permission again. If you've given somebody powers of attorney, if you suffer, if you are no longer competent or capable of making your own decisions, yet again, the permission has been granted.
So the one who holds the power of attorney can access.
Can access, yeah. If as it is, permission's been given as part, it's part and parcel of the power of attorney. My children can access this as a living will, as for all intents and purposes. Yeah, permission has been granted. Therefore, it's not same thing for a lot of it is implied permission as well. So, for example, if I've got a holiday home that I can no longer get to, and my kids have got if they want to go to the holiday home at any point, you can do. They enter the holiday home. It's not burglary because there's the implied permission my children can go and use my home. Okay, they're not going to get done for burglary. If I've disowned them, and my children are, absolute hellraisers, so there's every likelihood by that point I will, but if I've disowned them, then I've removed that permission, therefore they can't go. So it's the power of attorney. If I change my mind about the power of attorney and I remove that and I give it to my other child, one less likely to be a criminal mastermind when they grow up, then odds are fairly, then the implied permission has been moved.
And can I stop who holds my power of attorney going to Hatton Garden?
Not if you've granted the power.
Not if you've got the power of attorney. Any other questions? I think I've answered all the questions that have been on Zoom. We just double check Slido. Nobody's asked questions on Slido. Fantastic. Any other questions in the room at all?
We all get these calls, don't we? I mean,
yes.
I can get, well, I get fewer now, but we were getting 5 or 6 a day. Plus, they all seem to call at the same time as well, so you just don't answer the phone at those times.
What's the best way to deal with it? You get scam phone calls.
Oh yeah, we get scammed.
There are a couple of things. One, you can register for the telephone preference service, which will hopefully remove you from the scam phone. My personal favourite, I'm not advocating this as an option. This is what I do because I'm childish. I like to waste their time as much as possible. I like to try and get themselves. Sorry, let's ask you a question from the chat, and I'll see you in a second. I like to waste time as much as possible. I like to see how long I can keep them on the phone for.
I do that.
My personal favourite was when the phone call, "Hi, I understand you've been involved in an execution that wasn't your fault." I said, "No, the mum was camouflaged on the zebra crossing, so I didn't see her. So it's totally my fault." And then I'm sorry, what? That was fun. Yep.
Isn't it better not to answer it, because by answering it confirms the number.
If you know, the problem is that sometimes you don't know whether it's a something just comes up on your phone.
Advice to, do you recognise the sender or the from email? Do you recognise that phone number?
Yeah, but if you think it's a spam thing, just don't answer it. That's fine as well. And they might remove you from the thing. Let me says TPS is a waste of time. It's the best we've got. Try and change the system as much as we can, but there we go. And then let you say online, I have my hand up. I can't see unless there's the Q&A somewhere in here that I've not seen. So yeah, if you want to type it in as reporting to the ICO. Yet again, Information Commissioner's Office, we work with what we've got. Are any of these systems perfect? No, they are not. Are we working to try and improve them all the time, whether it's the ICO, whether it's Action Forward, whether it's the Met Police's own response to cybercrime? We're always trying to improve them. If you have any criticisms, any suggestions for any of these, by all means, contact the ICO, contact Action Fraud, and let your feelings be known, because it's only through that can we change these things. Yeah.
Callum, do you give these talks at schools, at universities? And
we do. We've got various things. So we actually went to a South London school last week where we gave a truncated version of this talk, but we actually ran through our cyber escape room, which is effectively you learn through our cyber escape room all the stuff that we've just been talking about in a far more fun and engaging manner. As fun as this is, it is much easier is much more enjoyable to do the cyber escape room. So if you have an organisation, whether it's the Rotary Club, Women's Institute, your school, and like that, if you want us to come out and give a presentation, give people at home as well. If you're based in London or it's a London-based organisation, we will come out and we'll do any of our products and services as much as we can, always completely and totally free of charge, because it's all about spreading the word. And I've got one final request. To everybody at home, everybody watching this later on, and everybody in here. At this precise moment in time, you are currently looking at 50% of the Met Police's resources to be able to fight fraud and cybercrime. There's only 2 of us at the moment, mainly because one of my colleagues is currently on annual leave, and we have got some vacancies. When we are at full speed, there are 5 of us trying to stop all fraud and cybercrime in London. So my final request for you folks here and the people watching at home, tell 2 people, that's all I ask. Just tell 2 people about the importance of having a strong password. Tell 2 people about turning on 2-step verification, about don't clicking on links and attachments, all this sort of stuff, and then let it exponential growth. If just everybody here told 2 people, within 16 iterations we've covered London. Of 2 people. Within a further 6 iterations we've done the UK, another 5 iterations after that we've covered the entire world. And I get to retire early with my full police pension, so everybody wins. So please, just spread the word. David McLean, do forces outside London do education like yours? Yes, we are part of Team Cyber UK. Every single police force or ROCU which stands for Regional Organisational Crime Units, has an officer like me, whether it's in the force or whether it's in the wider area, that do talks like this. If you want to know what your actual local ROCU is, you can contact me at cyberprotect@met.police.uk, and I will let you know what your local regional support unit is. As Catherine said, who would I contact the cyber escape room? That would be me. Yet again, at cyberprotect@met.police.uk if you want to know anything more about that. If you want to know more about it, you can go to met.police.uk/cyberprotect. Has a little bit more information about our escape room. Yeah, any other questions? No? Fantastic. So thank you, first of all, thank you very much for everybody who's made the effort to come out to talk, to listen to me here in London. And thank you to everybody at home who has been logging on, taking the effort to log in and listen. Thank you for your emails, sorry, thank you for your comments on here, and thank you for your time and attention. Cheers.
Thank you.
You're right.
Great. Well, I think that was truly excellent, Callum, and thank you very much for that. And everybody, please remember the power of two that Callum has mentioned, and let's try and exercise that. Yeah. Well, something I didn't tell you about Callum earlier is that he is an award-winning presenter in this topic, and I think you'll agree that that is well deserved. Thank you, Callum. Now, it's true about the little books. There are two of them, phone scams, which Callum has dealt with quite a bit, and also some very useful ones, like this one about investment scams, which affect quite a lot of us who are, let's say, not so young, and lots of people who are younger as well. So do have a look and try and make the most of those. So that is great, and we hope to see Callum or your colleague at a future date.
Colleague, yeah.
That would be true. That would be truly wonderful. No problem. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'd also like to thank my colleague, our colleague, Maureen Charles, who's in charge of our seniors initiative, and she's the person who reached out to the Met and got this started. She unfortunately has not been able to join us today, so she's assigned to her deputy, that's me, to chair this session. And I hope that you have enjoyed this, and more to the point, if you're online, hey, come on, get offline and come and join us here in person if you can. It is quite safe, I think. What do you think in the room?
Yes.
Yes, it's quite safe. Come and join us, and let's get this whole world rocking together again. So that's my message for you. Let's rock on and move things on and make IT good for society. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good night.